right. Speaking of banks and loans, that is the backbone for small business. That's where they can find cash liquidity to continue business. So I would like to leave into our next subject is job creation. What are your thoughts on job creation?
And you said the very thing that ties into job creation. When I founded East West, was a savings bank at that time, and also with Trust Savings Bank, I founded it specifically for the purpose of helping out working class families and for the purpose of helping out small businesses. I have given out thousands of loans to thousands of small businesses to help generate the jobs that are necessary. Now, the stimulus package has jobs in it, but some of those jobs are not sustainable job growth. We don't need to have continued jobs with the big companies. The shovel-ready projects are the big companies. They're building the freeways, building the roads. I'm not saying that is not a good plan, but the bad plan about the stimulus dollars is it's forgotten the small businesses, the businesses that create the jobs in the various communities in our 32nd Congressional District. And that's what we need to do, is to be able to see clearly plans to get those dollars in to small businesses with safe credit risks. Because as you see nowadays, what is happening is the banks are lowering the credit lines for a lot of small businesses, even though they've been performing, and even though they haven't completely used up their credit lines and they've been paying on their smaller balances. The banks are closing up and reducing those lines of credit or completely eliminating them. That has hurt small business and caused them to stop growth. There are ways that the government can deal with the reserve requirements and how they classify the loans in terms of risk. That would not cost the government that much money now, but would give the banks the freedom to make the loans to help the small businesses out.
Right, and so what do you think of the TARP that's going around? A lot of banks are not taking the TARP money. What's your thought on that?
Well, you know, I was on a bank when TARP monies were made available. And because of the short time frame, of course, we applied for it. But when you see the conditions that are applicable to it, sometimes they are not realistic in terms of the real world of bank operations. So now I lived through the era in the 90s when so many savings and loans and banks were being closed up in that era. And I do know that some of those banks and some of those savings and loans would have continued to have been opened if the government took a businessman, a banker's approach to the operations rather than the approach of being a regulator. So I think that history has the bankers scared that when the regulators come in to regulate, when you have TARP money, there will be regulations interpreted and extended to the point where it makes it impractical for the bank to deal with their problem loans.
Right, and I seen in the news is many banks are actually foregoing taking the TARP money, and for a reason you just have mentioned. Well, we need to take a quick break. When we're back, we'll speak further with Councilmember Chiu.
我从8岁学珠算，
我从3岁学。每次我们考试的时候都还有时间检查，都比别人快。
阅读快，脑部反应快，
他的记忆体变得非常的宽广。
他每次在参加比赛的时候，非常 concentrate， 非常 focus 在学习方面。
17国联合检定认证安老师心算教育中心909-594-8399。
流行通讯 T-Mobile 明白每位家人对客户的重要性，因此我们为您和家人设计了一个优惠计划，就是 T-Mobile 亲友无限计划。每个家庭成员可在全媒内享有无限简讯及通话分钟。只要以99块9毛9月费开第一条线，以后每条线月费只需49块9毛9，即可享有无限通话。还有 Samsung 免费手机，有 T639、Samsung Plus 及 T739。马上来到流行通讯各门市或致电1888-948-5888。
戚风烘焙本家开放式厨房，新鲜看得见。Arcadia 电话626-254-9249。
Welcome back to Community Roundtable. I'm your host, Henry Huang. Today with us in our studio is the Honorable Councilwoman Betty Tom Chiu, which represents the Monterey Park City, and also is vying to become the first Chinese American woman to be elected to the Congress for the 32nd District. Our last segment, Councilwoman Chiu shared with her wealth of background in banking and finance, some of the thoughts that she has in dealing with our economy these days, as well as job creation and so forth. But right now, to ask Councilwoman Chiu is that are your thoughts about taxes? A lot of what we talk about is to subsidize our vast amount of spending is through tax increase.
You know, there is no way that the federal stimulus package, together with the health plan and the immigration reforms that the government is talking about, that is being promoted by our president, there is absolutely no way that we can achieve all of those purposes without tax increases. And my problem with those tax increases is that there is no real effort right now, Henry, to stop the excessive, unnecessary overspending by the government. Let me give you an example. For instance, we have an airport that is being touted by one of our senators in one of our smaller states, but there are very few people that travel in that airport. So when you divide up the number of people into the amount of money that he's getting for that airport renovation, remodeling, and expansion, it comes out to so much money that you're better off just taking the money and giving it to that town or that city as a community and let them decide how they want to use it. It would probably revitalize a lot of small businesses. So we need to cut out the entitlements. And I do not believe, and I honestly do believe, that the higher taxes is going to drive more businesses to closure. It will cause more jobs to be eliminated, and it's going to cause a devastating effect upon this economy. We're running out of paper money.
Right.
And our credit lines are not that good now. So, but I promise that when I go to Congress, that I will review the taxes. And I certainly am not going to approve any new taxes until we get rid of the entitlements, to bring the budget to one that is very reasonable, and we need to learn to live within our income. Then we can restructure within the existing taxes that we raise and expend our funds in a priority manner that would benefit the residents of our communities in a more direct and beneficial manner. And that has to be The tax structure has to be where we are creating job growth, we are creating economic growth, we are creating small business growth.